Well, Miss Sarah Shaffer, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Caleb?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
It's not a wonderful day outside today, but we're here and it's warm, and that's the important thing.
You know, I was talking about these clamps before,
Yeah.
and of course, like 5 seconds into the podcast, like it broke off the bottom. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Not
fine.
Today, Satan.
Well,
All
I mean,
right.
it seems to be holding steady. We seem to be carrying on, so I think that's okay, right?
We're good.
Okay.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I am curious. I know that like a lot of people probably know you, have seen you do like paintings and things like that. A lot of cool different things as far as art goes inside of the jar. But what I'm curious about is how did you come to be at the jar?
Okay. So, my husband and I, so Waylon is the name of my husband, we were going to another church about just over a decade ago, 10-ish years ago, and it was no longer really fitting with what we wanted in our community. It didn't really follow along with everything that we believed as we were starting our family, and it was not that it was a bad church or anything. It just the community wasn't what we wanted anymore, and that was a really, really hard decision to leave that church. But we ended up kind of looking around trying to find a community that suited us, and we heard a radio advertisement for the jar, and we checked it out. And I remember the very first time we came here, there was a collection for someone's house that had burnt down, and like it just really felt like this authentic community that really cared about the people that were there, and were reaching out to all sorts of different folks within the community. It seemed to kind of fit alongside a lot of our belief system. The music was wonderful. Like we walked into, this was when we were at the Y and
Right.
in the gym, and we walked in and it was just like, yes, it just felt good. And so we started coming, and then Chris was open and connected with us, and we got connected to a small group, and everything kind of snowballed, and here we are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Were you or Waylon kind of like, did you guys go to church like before, like your whole lives? Are you like I don't know. There's names for PKs, but are there names for people that have just been going to church their whole life?
Well,
Church kids.
church kids.
Christians.
Yeah, Christians. Yeah.
Yeah. So were you a church kid? Or no?
So Waylon was, and I was more of a Christmas Easter kid growing
okay.
up.
Gotcha.
So my family went to church some, but not a ton. And when I did go to church, it was one of those things where it was more of a turn or burn kind of churches, and it felt very judgmental, and it like, you don't know your Bible verses, how dare you, and I didn't know them because I wasn't going to church. And so I had this growing up, this feeling of like fear, judgment, not acceptance kind of thing, and I felt that a lot of Christians I had met were hypocritical, and that I didn't find that community. And then I met Waylon Shaffer. It's a great man, the man I married, and he started to really speak to me about Christ, and how important it was to him, and how he wanted to move forward in his life with Christ, and he wanted to share that with me. And so in that time, like, he grew up going to church. His parents are not churchgoers necessarily, but his grandmother was. And so he would go with his grandma to church all the time. And so he really attributes his faith to church with her as a child. And I really attribute a lot of my faith to Waylon taking me to church and helping me find that community and see people that were not hypocritical, and not feel judged, and know that it was okay that I didn't know things, that I needed to learn them. And I feel like there are some places where you get this idea that you have to feel, you already have to know things. You already have this, you have to have a pre-existing knowledge to be here and be settled, versus a growth mindset where I'm here to learn. I don't know yet. And I think the jar especially is a place where it's okay to not know yet, where you can learn. And that's kind of, that's the deal.
Yeah, I know, like, it's crazy that, like, especially people that are not super familiar with like churches plural, like the way that different denominations do things.
Totally.
Because like little things such as like wearing jeans to church,
right?
Like you might not ever think anything about that, but like that's not okay. Some
places, yeah.
So I totally get what you're talking about, like going to a church that is like way more traditional, and then coming to a church that like might not follow the exact like dress code or certain traditions. It might not sound like a huge difference, but it's a huge difference. Yeah, it's a big thing.
And so, that it was like going back to when I left the church before I came to the Jar. That church was the church I got baptized in. So that was like, it was an incredible. Like I don't speak about that situation as an easy thing or easy decision. It was very, very tumultuous and very, very hard to leave that community. But we also are very, very grateful for the community we found. And like I said, that was like 10 years ago, maybe 11. Like I know that we were here when I was pregnant for my daughter, who's 9 years old now, but I don't remember how much before that we were coming to the Jar. So it was at least a decade ago, maybe 11 years. I don't know.
Old Sarah.
I am. Oh my God, Caleb, I am. But like.
No, you're not old.
I am not old, but I am, but I'm not. And the great thing about looking with the face that I have is that folks think that I'm much younger than I am, which I get a little frustrated about. So like,
do you get carded at like the movie theaters when you go to see a rated R movie?
I mean, I have children, so I don't really go to many rated R movies.
Whoa, you never go to the movies without your kids?
I never get a babysitter, man.
Just embrace my joke, Sarah. Gosh.
Yes, I get carded when I go to. No, but in all seriousness, so I connect with communities of older people who are older than me, and I am connecting with the Muncie Artist Guild, and it's a lot of wisdom in that room, and there's a lot of folks that are, older than I am, and one of the older gentlemen, I was talking to him, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, so you a Ball State student?" I went, "Nope, I graduated in 2007 from Ball State." He went, "Oh, I thought you were 19 years old." And I went, "Nope, 37. Yeah, been married for 13 years. Got 2 kids," which I suppose is a compliment, but
I hope.
I mean, hope not 19. And it is a compliment, but at the same time, sometimes when we look at youth, we look at inexperience as not being professional, and I want to be taken as a professional in the things that I do. So for me, I'm like, I like to like be on the line where if I'm walking around campus, yes, youths, I am one of you, versus like when I'm out in a professional situation, yes, grown-ups, I am also one of you.
Yeah, so let's get into that, the things that you do.
Yeah.
You do a lot, Sarah.
I do a lot. That's true.
So tell us about it. What all do you do?
Okay. Well, I guess like I'll start personal and go professional. How's that work?
Let's hear it.
Great. Okay. So I am a wife and a mom. I have 2 kids. As I said, I've been married for 13 years to Waylon Shaffer, that great guy. My 2 kids are Zoe, who's 9, and Gus, who's a year and a half. And they're awesome and cool kids and so smart, and it's awesome to get to watch them grow. Like the person that Zoe is becoming is just so exciting and just really cool. Like I was talking to someone and they're like, "Wow, she sounds just," I was like, "Yeah, she's awesome, man. She's way cooler than I am." And getting to watch Gus do the same thing is going to be great too. So that's kind of, family. I am an artist, and I love to do all sorts of art. So I'm an artist that sells and creates work, has local shows, takes things to places to sell them, things like that. I'm also an art teacher. I taught at Cornerstone Center for the Arts for 5 years, teaching non-traditional students. So at one point, my youngest student was 2 years old, and my oldest student was 92 years old. Wow. Which is amazing.
A little bit of a difference there, age gap.
But that age gap was so wonderful because I got to see people starting out experiencing art for the first time at all ages. Yeah. The thing that I saw that was really cool about those 2 vastly different age groups is that they needed me and really appreciated what I had to give them, even more so than the traditional classroom age kids, because those 2-year-olds, this was the first time that they were in a classroom, the first time they were listening to anyone who wasn't mom or dad. That's pretty cool. And the folks that, 92 was my oldest student. Most of my adult painting students were ranging anywhere from 50 to maybe 75 at the oldest, usually in the 50s, 60s. And they're folks that have retired and just really wanted to get into art but hadn't had a chance to. And they, again, have that idea of a growth mindset. They're wanting to learn. One gentleman that was in my class who has passed away, who I miss very much, his name was Larry. And he came to my class after his wife passed after a long battle of cancer. And he just wanted a community. He was a Vietnam veteran and started to use painting as a way to help with his PTSD. Now, he was going to therapy and he was already doing all of those other really good mental health things. This was just another facet of that. And he became almost like a grandpa to me. I'm really sad that he's gone. But I also think that in that time before he passed, we became kind of a family, like my group of people, and we all like got together and went out to lunch to celebrate his life after he passed. So it's just this really cool community of people, and I love them. So that's art teaching, and then I'm also an arts advocate. So I've worked. I worked at Cornerstone as a teacher, but then for 3 of those 5 years, I was also an arts administrator, working in the education office, planning programs, facilitating things like projects and classes and workshops and events, stuff like that. Currently, I'm working at Muncie Arts and Culture Council, doing some similar things with the place-based residency and then the Box program through Muncie Arts and Culture Council. And I've painted 2 of the control boxes, which is also very cool.
Yeah, so for all the people that don't know, like,
I'd love to talk about it.
Seriously, let's get into it. Well, I wanted to wait till after you were done with the list, but I did want to get into that, and I wanted to bring that up. Just really quick, so where are your boxes at? And can you explain, like, for people that don't know, like, what the box project is? So, Muncie Arts and Culture Council, the shorthand of it is Muncie Arts. So if I say Muncie Arts, that's what I mean. Is an organization that is helping to connect artists with ways and places and organizations to do art. And so one of the most visible projects, and probably to date the most visible project we have, is the Box project. So that is the traffic control boxes that are in intersections throughout Muncie that have been painted by local artists. And those local artists range from teenagers to groups of people, to professional artists, to artists that are just starting out in their career, to just every stage of an artist is welcome to do this. There's an application process, so there is a bit of you have to like say you're going to do the thing and then really do it. During the spring is an application, and then during the summer is when they get painted. So in my role right now is I help to connect artists to the box that they're going to paint, give them some tips, and prime the boxes. I worked with a team of people to get the boxes primed. So we did 23 boxes this summer, and we have a total of them that are 70 that are painted all over town. So 23 just this summer. Wow.
It's a lot. One day I spent with like 2 other people, we worked together to prime 10 boxes. And then just recently I've been top coating the boxes to help protect them from both UV and graffiti. And I top coated 10 in one day and was just like exhausted and dirty and tired and went home was like, ugh, gross. But, how
many hours would you say like one box takes from start to finish?
Okay, so that really ranges from artist to artist. So if you look at, my 2 boxes, I didn't answer that question, so let me go back to that.
Yes.
The 2 that I have completed, I completed one in 2019, and that was at Riverside in Tillotson. It is a cardinal with some peony blossoms around it. And then the second box that I created I created this last summer, and that is at the corner of McGalliard and Wheeling. And that box is actually in honor of Diamond Heels Hattie, who was one of the members of a pioneer family, so one of the first families in Muncie. Her husband was a physician. They owned a lot of land, and they donated the land for $1 to the developer, who then made the neighborhood that's right back there. And the neighborhood worked together and raised the funds to sponsor that box and pay for that creation of it. So they got a little bit of say in the design process, and working with Muncie Arts and Culture Council. They had sought me out and said, hey, we like this other box that you did. Will you come up with a design? And I said, sure, here's the design based off of what you told me. And that's what we did. So that one is these stone pillars that are very important to the neighborhood that were on the property originally. A diamond studded high heel shoe, because Diamond Heels Hattie was famous for wearing shoes with diamonds in the heels. I mean, it's a pretty descriptive nickname, I suppose. Yeah. And then some flowers that were based off of Dresden china, which was a china pattern that she used when she had her very fancy parties. So that's what that is. It basically is flowers and pretty and bright, and
Gotcha.
But it also has a deeper meaning for those in the neighborhood, and hopefully her family as well. Most of her descendants don't still live in Muncie, but I'd heard from the neighborhood association president that he was hoping to connect with them to show them the box in honor of her. So that's cool.
So in your role from kind of art administrator to art advocate, what are the main differences that like you have noticed in that transition?
Well, I mean, I think in some ways I use those terms interchangeably, because I'm an art advocate all the time, whether I'm getting paid for it or not. Like if say you and I are having a conversation as we have in the past, and you're like, yeah, man, I'm going to go paint. And I was like, yes, Caleb, you should paint. So I'm always advocating for people to express themselves in any form of the arts, whether it be music, dance, theater, visual art. But arts administrator is more of that technical, working in an office. I spend more time on Squarespace than I do like actually making art within my job, but Squarespace is really user friendly, and if I can do it, anybody can do it, which is great. A lot of like website creation.
They're like sponsoring this or something.
Sponsored by Squarespace.
Yeah. You're like wearing a Squarespace shirt. Like I don't know, just off the top of my head, Squarespace. It's really easy and it's friendly.
Hey man, you know what? Getting a little like paid content doesn't ever hurt the YouTube page.
Well, regardless if they are not, they're getting it now. So.
I mean, I just have been using the site. That's all. It's hashtag non-spons.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. So, like throughout COVID, have there been like what's like major challenges inside of like, I mean, the local art community?
Well, so I was kind of pulled back a little bit from the art community, just a hair, during COVID because of, COVID. And because the day that everything shut down was also the day I gave birth to Gus. So I was on maternity leave from Cornerstone, and then when COVID started, and then was going to go back, but because of the crazy world that we were living in, and wanting to also take a chance on myself and do more of my own art and be at home a little bit more, a little bit longer, I decided not to go back. And so I actually had a full year at home with Gus, which was really cool, and I made and sold a lot of work. Last year, from mid-October to December, I painted like 23 or 25 pet portraits and sold them to people all sorts of places. Well, mostly locally, but Muncie in Indianapolis is kind of where they went.
Portraits? So like you come in and like they make their dog or pet just stay still?
No, they sent me pictures. But here's the thing, Caleb. I didn't realize that I was painting a lot of pet portraits of pets that had passed until after the fact. I'm like, hey, could you get maybe a clearer picture of this animal? No, they're not with us anymore. And okay, cool. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a big responsibility to be creating something to memorialize a pet that's no longer with us.
Yeah. Like you didn't get them before, just like throughout COVID, you just started getting a lot of pet portraits?
Well, yeah, it snowballed because okay. I hadn't really done one before, and then I did a couple, And then I put them out on Instagram, and I was like, hey, if anybody wants me to do a pet portrait, there's the thing. And then I started getting a few more commissions for that. And so then I was like, okay, like, let's market this. And so I put my prices out. I said, here's the thing, here are your choices, let me know. And I also made them very not expensive, and just was cranking them out as fast as I could.
Awesome.
So it was a great way to help supplement our income, and for me to be able to still be working at least some, but to be at home as well.
Well, Waylon also is a writer as well.
Yeah, he is.
He does a lot of cool stuff.
He is. He is a writer, and he has written a novel that he really wants to get published. We're actually reading it as a family right now together. So
that's awesome.
Zoe is getting to experience his novel firsthand, and like, I've read it in the multiple iterations that he has written, and so now it's just really funny because, like, there's a thing that he has that's written that she's like, oh, this is what's going to happen, and it's really, really not what's going to happen. So we're like, what's she going to think when she finds out that
Russia invades and they all die?
That's definitely not what his book's about.
It ends with the premise of Red Dawn. It's a prequel to Red Dawn.
Now, Caleb.
So anyway,
you could have read the book. You've had access to it.
Yeah.
Someday you might, right?
Yeah, I did. I just told you the ending.
That's not the ending.
I don't know what you're talking about, but that's the book that I read.
That's because you didn't read Waylon's book. Perhaps it was by some other Waylon Shaffer.
No, it must have been. I don't know. So. All right, so with all that and the world changing, the craziness, something that you mentioned earlier, kind of before that, back when you were doing like the art administration, you referenced being able to experience people trying out art for the first time, or kind of re-experiencing it. So with the concept of like therapeutic art, or like people being able to do it, because like I definitely have a soft spot in my heart for like people that are recovering with struggles of life, whether that be like addictions or just like emotional or mental issues. What do you think that is? Like, why do you think that there is like therapy? Like, why do you think that art is therapeutic?
Yeah.
You know, because I know, which, you know, my background, it's more theater and music. And I know I'm a big believer in like music therapy, but why do you, I'm curious, I wanted to ask you that. Like, why do you think that like art has a sense of therapy to it?
So I think there's a lot of reasons for that. And well, first off, I'm not an art therapist officially. Like, there's a whole job of people that can do that, and a whole field of study specifically designed to teach people to teach art for therapy, which I think is wonderful. And those that have that counseling heart and really want to dig in for addiction or struggles of any kind and can do that, I think that's amazing. But in my not having the truest of true backgrounds in art therapy, but my taking away of what I've seen and kind of my own personal feelings, I think that art has power to relax us. It has power to release. I think art can be very therapeutic in that way. I've done that too, where I've just been struggling or having a hard time, and I've turned to the physical work of art, painting or drawing, to channel out those negative feelings, to get it out on the canvas, to paint out the pain, because it's better to get it out than to keep it in. And other people will find other ways to get out those negative feelings, negative emotions, whatever that is. I mean, I think anytime you can do something physical, whether it's like running, whether it's walking, whether it's dancing, laughing, drawing, playing a guitar, singing, anytime we can react with our physical bodies, I feel like that can help us get out of the bad place and the hardness.
Oh, I agree 100%. Like I look at it, I mean, almost like shot for shot, right?
Yeah.
Like like I look at it like art is like the umbrella, right? But it doesn't mean you might not be into painting,
right?
You might not be into music, you might be into dancing.
Totally.
There's a lot of different outlets in that, but all those outlets allow you to channel,
100%.
channel a lot of emotions. And I think like and I'd love to get your take on this, but like I think that there's a lot of people. I mean, everybody struggles with things. Everyone struggles with anxiety, stress, fear, depression. I mean, whatever it is, insert the blank. But there's outlets that everybody falls into, and there might be a lot of different umbrellas, but I think in the art umbrella, at least for me, and I think for a lot of people, there's like this unique therapy to it. I really do. Like you can channel that in one of those outlets that we were talking about, and it's just like a way to express yourself in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Do you feel like everybody, because I know not everyone's inclined to the art umbrella, right? But like, do you feel like everybody is, because I want to stick with painting specifically, because I know like that's like your bag. I mean, art is your thing, but like, do you feel like everybody, regardless if they are an expert painter or not, or whatever walk of life they're into, do you feel like everybody possesses their inner artist, like their inner painter? Do you feel like everyone can do that?
Yes.
Like as a skill?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, okay, so here's the thing, and you and I have kind of talked about this before, because we both love Bob Ross, and
we've definitely talked about dancing and the skill level of dancing.
Yes, I will get to dancing.
Oh, we're gonna get to dancing.
Well, that's a whole nother TED
Ross,
talk.
Bob Ross.
I have a whole nother TED talk about dance and the importance of dance, and I'll get to that in a minute.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna slow dance our way there. So anyway,
all right. So
Bob Ross.
Yes. So the prescribing to the idea that art is for everyone. So I absolutely do believe that, and I have seen it firsthand. So not everyone is necessarily going to be a photorealistic painter, and that is okay. You just because you can't or don't know or have not yet learned the skill to make something that looks identical to real life does not mean that whatever you're doing doesn't have value. I think back to those kiddos that I was helping to paint, like, and to watching Gus paint. Like, I let him paint for the first time last week. Now he's been carrying around a brush without any paint on it and putting it on our walls and I'm like, oh guys, it's going to be dangerous. We got to I don't know. But I can tell that he wants to he has the spirit of an artist. He loves crayons. Like, I gave him crayons and then I had to put him away. And he looked at me like, what are you doing? Why are you taking my colors? But giving him a paintbrush and some paint for the first time and just watching him swirl the colors and making movements and seeing how the colors reacted to each other.
Oh, that's
like,
awesome.
There's such a joy to that. And the reason that I think people, because in my time teaching, I've also taught a lot of one-time workshops or painting parties, and I have taught all manner of people. I have taught young, I've taught a little bit older, I've taught people that are really artistic, I've taught people that haven't done art since sixth grade, and there's always at least one person in one of those workshops, one of those one-time paintings, like a wine and canvas kind of deal, that walks in and goes, I'm going to do a terrible job. I can't paint. I can't even draw a straight line. And so I'm always kind of ready for that person. And I tell them, you're going to do a great job. We're going to work on it together. I'm going to show you how to do it step by step. And it's going to be great. And if you have a problem along the way, that's literally what I'm here for. You're going to be happy with what you leave with. That's our goal. And
Do you find a lot of people that say things like that, they're actually pretty talented?
Sometimes it's deflection of perfectionism, and sometimes it's literally like they're walking into a situation where they're not comfortable, and maybe their friend brought them, or maybe and I think it's a way to subvert expectations, so that if it's not perfect, then, well, I already told you, so I don't have to be upset about it. And I find a lot of times that it's women that are really hard on themselves. It's women that are in the middle age who are used to being good at things, who are used to kind of knowing what the situation is. And anytime we go into a space where we are uncomfortable, we're learning something new, and if we have a little bit of perfectionism in us, like, we start to put up those walls, and that's what that is. And so as I see it, my job is to help them break those down. And sometimes I am very successful in that. Sometimes I break it down a little bit. But hopefully, my hope is that maybe next time they go to one of those things, they won't automatically deflect. They'll say, maybe I can do this. And I've seen some people start that way and then turn into like, I can do this, like, and be happy when they leave. You know, so perfectionism runs deep, and it's really hard on us. And it's funny. I was talking to one of my friends who is in her graduate work to be a community educator, and she was doing a paper over education, non-traditional education, which talked to me about art, kind of similarly about some of the things that we've talked about. And she said, like I said, those things about, you know, like perfection, and she's like, just put my name in it next time, Sarah. Jeez. And I was like, it's such a common story, and it doesn't have to be. Yeah. But that being said, if you put me in a situation where I'm uncomfortable, like, Sarah, go get that basketball and put it, you know, make a basket. Oh, buddy. Yeah. You're going to get me deflecting. You're going, it's not going to work. You know, so we all have.
With your hands, do you?
I do.
I do it too. I can't help it. My hands just come up like Ricky Bobby. Don't know what to do with them. They find a way to they have no goal. They just keep going up like a hot air balloon. They're just gonna keep going until something happens.
These jazz fingers.
Yeah, like they're attached. They're gonna stop eventually. But I don't know.
That's why you need your guitar, because then you have a thing to do with your hands.
I would be lost without it. I'd be like, oh, praise. What? It would actually be okay. Yeah. You know what? That's probably why, like Hillsong and Elevate, that's probably why they're doing that, because they don't know what to do with their hands. So they're just like all these formations. Yeah, it's probably, yeah.
Yeah, done. Great.
My mind's blown.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I could die right now, like knowing like the mysteries of the universe. I just realized, that's probably why. They don't know how to talk, like do what they're, that makes me feel better about my life. Wow. So now,
that was a nice tangent.
No, yeah, I can't help it. It's just the things that are in here, they come out. Yeah, and so some of the things we were talking about with like family life and the awesome experiences that like Gus is experiencing right now with art. Some of the other outlets in art are, I know for you, are dance. So like do you get to experience that still with COVID, like with your kiddos at all? Or,
well,
do you get to teach them the ropes, show them the ropes?
Occasionally. There is sometimes dancing in the kitchen, because that is the best place to dance in our house. We did utilize a lot of Just Dance, the video game, while we were in COVID, because like we were all super into it, and Zoe, of course, has a lot of fun with it. But welcome to my TED Talk about the importance of social dance.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right. So backing it up a little bit, Waylon and I met through the Ball State Swing Dancing Club back in the early 2000s while we were in college at Ball State. And that's really like the cornerstone of our relationship, is that we met through a dance club. And we got to know each other while we were dancing on the dance floor and fell in love on the dance floor. And so because of that experience with dance, I think that really, it taught us how to trust each other in a partnership. Dance is, especially social dance, is a really good metaphor for life and partnership. There's a lead, there's a follow, and sometimes the lead changes, sometimes the follow changes, but you can see and sense where you're going together. Right. So like when dancing, if Waylon lifts his arm one certain way, I know, okay, I don't even think about it. It's just automatic. And because those dance moves are universal, so say I would be dancing with my friend Mike, who I danced with many times in the club, he would do the same move, and I would understand, to go this way, move that way. And so it just became this element of learning appropriate physical touch and physical communication through dance. We don't have to talk when we're dancing. You don't have to tell me, okay, you're going to turn now, because I just know because of how I'm led or how I lead. Sometimes I lead rather than Waylon, and because when you're dancing, especially when you teach dance, which we have for a number of years to lots of different groups of people, you have to know both parts. You got to know the lead and the follow, and that's what makes you a better dancer. So I think that's true in life. is that sometimes we lead, sometimes we follow, and I think there's a song that says that somewhere.
Well, I was about to ask about that though, like because you said you've been married 13 years, right? Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's pretty awesome. But I'm sure like that is not only like a metaphor, like a kind of a metaphor, the give and take with dance, but I'm sure that I would have to imagine that would help in like a relationship.
Yes. Literal and metaphorical, absolutely.
And also like romantic and platonic too.
Yeah,
like even getting
100%.
to know somebody, there's always like give and take, and sometimes Chris was having a conversation with Chris, our pastor, was having a conversation with, he used the metaphor of dancing as far as like relationships go, like friendships, romantic relationships, that sometimes there's give and take and leading and following. So anyway, with that, have you found that kind of beneficial for your guys' relationship?
Definitely. And so we were teaching, before COVID, we were teaching some swing dancing classes here. Well, before COVID and before I got pregnant, because once I got pregnant, I was feeling like I was going to barf all the time, and I couldn't turn, and it makes it very difficult to dance.
Well, how selfish of you.
I know. I mean, there were some people that were pretty sad that we had to put our stop our lessons for a while. So hopefully we'll be able to start those up again. But yes, we have definitely seen the benefits of that in our own relationship and in the relationships with other people. So we first, like I said, learned and both taught at the college, at the college when we were in the club. And then after that, we taught at a church we used to go to, and so it was a lot of older married couples. And then we taught at a high school that I used to work at, so you had a lot of like high school students. And then we've taught here at the Jar. And so each of those vastly different places and vastly different people had different vibes to it, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. It's each group had their own special collection where, like, the college kids, like, you were just trying to meet people, you're trying to make friends, so everybody's dancing with everybody else. The high school students, like, there weren't a lot of traditional gender roles. They were swapping, a lot of, like, boys would dance with boys, girls would dance, whatever, you just go. And then the married couples, they all, we sometimes called it marriage counseling, because some of the couples, not here, some other places, and, the women would be like, I can't let him lead, he's going to do it wrong. And it's just like, well, let them try. Let's see if he can give it a go. So it just was really interesting. Yeah. And I do know a young couple who's getting married soon who should come dance with us sometime, and we could do a little lesson with them.
Who are you? You seem to...
You.
Do you have COVID? Is what
I have asthma. It's my asthma.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I mean, okay, so before COVID, I'm pretty sure Waylon and I said the same thing, and sometimes you were going to come dance with us, but
remember back when I asked about people giving the excuses, do you feel like those people are actually hiding their talents when they say oh, I'm not good at art? Mm-hmm. So for me, okay,
that's
not,
that's what happened.
Hold on, it's not a pompous moment. It's not like I'm saying
no, you
I'm
are a good dancer.
I'm not a good dancer.
You are.
I am not a good dancer.
I have watched you
Let me make my point, Sarah. So I do not believe I'm a good dancer. But hold on, let me explain myself, okay? I'm not like, oh, shower me with hate. I'm not a good dancer. No, what I'm saying is, I don't think I would ever want to say I'm a pretty good dancer and then make a fool out of myself. Mm-hmm. I have such a fear of moving my body in a way in public, in front of people. I don't know why. It bugs, it doesn't bug me, but the thought of it is just maybe I'm just insecure in those areas.
I think that you are, because I've seen you dance, and you're not a bad dancer.
And you're not blind. So
I'm not blind.
So I did not blind you with my rays of whiteness doing it.
So I think that with dance, with everything else, it's a level of comfort. Now, if you're not comfortable dancing in front of people, should you be in a dance competition? Probably not. But does that mean that you can socially dance where you and your partner are dancing and no one's really paying attention to you? Then yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the difference.
I think I'm just a couple steps behind that. I think, I'm worried everyone's going to be staring at me.
No.
Not because like, oh, everyone wants to know what I'm doing. No, it's just like I feel like, oh, they're going to be staring at me because I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm flat-footed, like I don't know. Like
the few times that you came to our lessons, because you did come to our lessons a couple times, so I have firsthand knowledge that you actually can dance. And you were very light on your feet, which is not an easy thing to do all the time, especially for someone as tall as you are. You have a sense of rhythm because you're a musician, so that is also there. And you also are probably afraid people are going to watch you because of your theater background. So if you kind of wipe that slate clean and know that when you're social dancing, when you and Jamie are dancing together, other than maybe your wedding, people will look at you at your wedding. Sorry, I can't help you with that.
We could get blindfolds.
Or you could take lessons with Waylon and Sarah and then feel more comfortable. That would probably help some to feel the comfort level.
What is this? Are we psychoanalyzing Caleb? Is that what we're doing right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, you asked my feelings about dance and art, and
True.
and it's true that that those feelings are deep-seated, and I would say that there are people that feel that the exact same way that you feel about dance. There are people that feel that way about visual arts, about anything. Anytime you're doing something, it goes back to that growth mindset that I was talking about earlier, right? Like, I don't feel that I'm a good dancer yet, but I could be.
Well, and I don't think it's just regarding art. I think it's more of like
it's everything.
It's more like a character flaw. Or something like that, because it wasn't just dance. Like, I used to be that way about singing. I would never.
Oh my God, really? That's insane to me.
Yeah, I was like scared to death. Well, not only scared to death, but like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's like it was really uncomfortable, like especially doing it around like my family and stuff.
Really?
Like, nope. Yeah. When it comes to like music, like worship music, I think what is helpful for me is like I can really like lose myself in the music.
Totally.
And so there, like at a certain point for me, it's like when I made the decision to kind of be all in for God. I think that there you gain a spiritual confidence, and like I want to be a little more. I want to elaborate on that, because like you can be confident because you're filled with the Spirit, because like you're trying to live your life for God. You're just trying to move forward for God, and I think that gives you confidence. Not that I think like, oh, I'm above this person. We're at different levels. No, we're in the eyes of God. I believe that we are equal. So like that's not what I'm saying, right? So I just wanted to clarify. I don't feel like spiritual pompous or like spiritual confidence. And like there is a difference. Like spiritual confidence. Like I think like my mentality is like, well, whatever I do, and it doesn't matter if it's me or anyone, whatever you do, anyone in life, you will not make everyone happy. Someone's going to have an issue, someone's going to have a critique, someone's going to have something, they might think they could do it better, or that it would be better if it was done in this way. That will be inevitable. But I think what I gain I want to credit the Spirit with that, is I just don't care as much. I just don't care as much, and it's not a bad thing. It's not. So hear me out. I sound like a terrible person.
No. I understand.
But I think that there is a healthy amount of care that you can have in things, and then there is an unhealthy care, and the unhealthy like becomes best friends with codependency.
Right.
And so
which is why I could never be a therapist, because I don't have the ability to
cut it off.
Yeah.
So for a long time, I was very codependent on like the acceptance and happiness of people. I had to, and I still struggle. Like we're talking about all the things that I deal with, anxiety and stuff, but I still struggle with like some of that acceptance, and that's not a hidden thing. I talk about that a lot, but like I want people to think highly of me, but like you have to realize like it's impossible. Jesus was a pretty good dude. Yeah. Not everybody liked him.
That's a good point.
In fact, they killed him.
Yeah. That's the thing that happened.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I use that even as an example. Like, I'm not going to make everyone happy. And so I have confidence in who I am, and that allows me to be able to just take a moment, like on Sundays or like in other areas of playing music, where it's like I can actually lose myself in the words, in the music. And I just, because it might seem like it's everyone is doing that. Like it's a group activity, which it is on Sunday, but like sometimes for me it's a very like, sometimes like in between the song it can be like a kind of an individual moment between me and God, and so that's pretty cool.
I think I totally,
hopefully that doesn't make me sound like a terrible person.
No, I understand what you're talking about, because you know, so you mentioned that I do the worship paintings at the Jar, and you know, I think that you can look back to a conversation you and I had before my very first worship painting, where I was so nervous as to like if I was doing it for the right reason, if I was doing it to worship God, or if it was or if it was like, oh, see what I can do, it's so cool, you know. And I remember you talking about like letting that go, and then I remember the first time I did it, like I didn't even remember, I lost myself in the painting and listening to the music and being with the Spirit, and and I went, oh, okay, yeah, no, this isn't about me. This is about God. This is about worship. If someone else gets something from it, awesome. Yeah. It's as meaningful to me as it is, hopefully, to other people. And I remember that the conversation that you and I had that really kind of helped me move through that, because I had a lot of anxiety about the situation.
Before the Jar, that was way worse for me. Like I haven't, I mean, earlier in life, like high school, like 16, 17, 18, like that was when I was playing in bands and playing a lot of like out in different places, different gigs and stuff like that. It's like I really just wanted the attention. Yeah. And all of us did. It wasn't just I wasn't on my own on that, but I wanted the attention. I wanted that kind of gratification, and I was dependent upon that relationship with like the audience. And so that is what I'm trying to kind of address. It's like. And I think that even the way keeping it focused on church, the conversation or the topic of what I'm saying, like I think that we should even, I think it's sometimes more helpful when we even worship, when we can try to channel out the people around us, because for me, because I know the way that I worship, when I'm not singing, I'm like a part of the audience listening to like a performance or listening to like other people do worship. I often struggle if I can like see a lot of people around me and I know they can see me. It's like I struggle sometimes being able to just like do my own thing and lose myself in the music. And so I encourage people to like just not even worry about the people around you. Just do your own thing and worship how you want to worship. And so I might have gone off on a couple tangents there, but you know, I know what we like to do is like typically we talk about verses here and like verses that mean something for us, and that could be like today. It might mean something for you today, or it might be something that is like your life verse. But I was wanting to give you some time to share about what you brought in today. Yeah.
So knowing that we were probably going to talk about my deal as an artist, I definitely wanted to talk about, you know, God as an artist and how we are his creation. So I pulled up Isaiah 64 verse 8. And yet, O Lord, you are our Father. We are the clay and you are the potter. We are formed by your hand. And, you know, I love that, not only for the idea of physically being formed, you know, as a baby formed by God, but also we are formed by our experiences in this world, and God is such a huge part of that. We are formed by the people in our lives, by the experiences that we have. They all make us who we are, and I just think that that's a really beautiful verse to say that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Cher, for sharing that and being a part of this wacky conversation. Yeah. We love you. We celebrate you. And let the people know, do you have anything going on, or if people want to contact you for any of your artwork, where did they go? How did they do it? Yeah. Instagram, Facebook, what's up?
Yeah. Thank you, Caleb. Yeah. So Sarah Shaffer Designs is my Facebook and Instagram for both my business page. And then I sell work. I'm going to have a couple pieces up in Indy in November to December, I think. And then I also am a part of the Muncie Artist Guild, so we have work like kind of sprinkled throughout Muncie periodically. But yeah, so the big thing is the most current thing is always on my Instagram. I try to show what I'm working on. Sometimes it's for sale, sometimes it's not. But if you ever want to buy a thing, just like message me or ask me. And I also do commissions. I love to create work for people, and so
Cool.
It's been awesome hanging out at the Jar Ministry Center, where a lot of my paintings that I created are hanging,
Like
which
that
is
one.
like that
Like
one,
that one.
and that one.
Yeah.
So,
No, absolutely.
yeah.
Well, we thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you for being a part of the podcast.
Thanks for having me.